Welcome to the Resupply with me, Guy Next Door,
And me, Than.
where we bring you your weekly double tap, if you will, of all things Laserforce. Now we're going on a bit of a run here with special guests, and today there's none more special than one of our Resupply brethren. Put on a massive show last year at the Sacramento Nationals. He's going to join us today and regale of tales of Detroit drama and wonder. Please welcome to the mic our man, Maniac. How are you, man?
Hey, everybody. I am doing fantastic. It's exciting to be here. Excited to be part of it.
Don't lie. Don't lie. Apparently this is the number one rated podcast for any time you need to defecate. So it's it's not super special. So you guys have just recently returned home, your respective homes, from Detroit. How was that, Than?
No, I wasn't quite sure what to expect with it going in, just because of the format that had been picked for it. It was, going to be random teams, random positions for every game. So it had the potential to either be really, really awesome, or it was going to suck out loud. And really, it ended up being really, really awesome. And I have to give a ton of credit to Baden, who was instrumental in getting it organized, and as well to Kevin, who's the manager at Revolution Laser Tag in Detroit, for letting us play, and just giving us the run of the facility for the 2 days that we were there for.
How did the time frame work? Were you guys playing at night, or?
The answer to that question is yes. We played Monday and Tuesday. We were supposed to start at 10 a.m. both days. That didn't happen because lasers people. The Monday, I want to say we started closer. Actually, both days we started closer to 11. Monday, because there were some things that we had to do that we just could not get done on the Sunday night. There was a video card issue with the computer. We needed to put in a beefier video card in order to get rid of some of the lag issues that the computer was having. One of those things happens.
So, Russ, how was your week, man? Well, your couple of days. How did you enjoy the tournament?
Man, I had the greatest time. I really did. I had not played at Detroit before, so this was my first time in their arena.
Yeah.
And right away, I enjoy the hell out of their arena. It's big. It's fun. There's all kinds of ridiculous angles you can shoot from. Baden taught me some very important lessons about paying attention to where your missiles are coming from. And as a format, I was excited about it. I had wanted to do something like this for a WCT in 2017, and we couldn't quite make it come together. So when I saw this one pop up, and full random draw, random teams, random positions, let's go.
Well, it's a pretty big I don't know, for me anyway, it's a big deterrent to have the potential of being on obviously random tees, but probably worse is random positions, because it's full random, right? You don't match to the other team doesn't match to whatever.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
That's brutal, man. So you there's the potential there of just getting absolutely rolled by a team that's the two strongest 3-hit combo versus you've got somebody who's never played before in that role. I would imagine that happened at least once.
Well, and so here's the thing with that. I mean, yeah, that was definitely a concern going in. The one thing that we did do was some things initially to balance out the teams. So it wasn't like we put all 36 names into one giant pot and just drew names from that to create the teams. What we did is we broke the players into 3 tiers. So we basically had the captain's tier, the mid-tier, and then the bottom tier. And the captain's tier, there were 6 people in it, so 6 teams, one each, sweet. The middle tier had 18 people in it, and the bottom tier had 12. And the way that we drew the teams out, we drew captains first. Okay, here's team 1 through 6. So there was no like, oh hey, you picked this number because it had the easiest schedule or whatever, because with the way the schedule is, sometimes you get breaks and sometimes you don't. Then we drew the B tier, and then we drew the MC tier. And I mean, so doing that off the jump, once we had done that and we kind of looked at the teams, and the 4 of us that were doing the team picking, because obviously you've got to have multiple people doing that process so that people can't come back later and go, these weren't really random. No, there were 4 of us in the room. It was me, Baden, Scythe, and Beans, all in a separate proprietary room, just drawing the stuff out. And after we picked the teams and we kind of looked at where everything was, it was like, yeah, okay, there was one team that we looked at and was like, that team's probably the strongest of them, but there wasn't a case of looking at any of the teams and going, oh my god, this team is gonna get rolled every game. This team is terrible.
Did you guys do you have a list of the do you want to run through what the teams were?
Yeah, I can do that. Thanks to the very handy lfstats.com Russ admins now, for which I am infinitely grateful.
I think the entire community owes you a debt of gratitude. That site is just, it's so good. We've got guys here every week who, get very in depth with their stats. So we appreciate all the work that goes into making that happen.
It's fun to make something that people enjoy and like. So it makes me happy to hear it.
I don't think I've heard one person bitch about the site. The site runs really well. It's so clean. Everything's easy to read. Like, I'm, for the most part, shit at reading, period. So for me to be able to navigate the site, it's a wondrous thing. But anyway.
Yes. We could have an entire podcast just on the evolution of this site from like day 1 of stats, but maybe we'll do that another time. Because how about this, people of the podcast that are listening to us, if that's something that you'd be interested in, let us know.
Smash that like button, give us a subscribe.
Like button, hit that subscribe button, give us an email, let us know if you actually want to hear about the history of stats and how it came to be this awesome website now that Russ runs.
I mean, because knowing these two guys, you guys could talk about the stats website all day long.
Yes, easily.
Yeah, pretty
very easily.
As far as the teams were for this random tournament, we had team Baden, which had me, it was nice to play on a team with Baden again, and we had Baby Fufu and Kitsune from Detroit. We had Slaughtermelon from Colorado, and Selena Go from technically he's a Syracuse player. That's Logan. He's an Armageddon player. He doesn't have a site yet. Apparently, there's a Laserforce that's opening in Pittsburgh, which is where he lives. So soon he'll have a site, just not right at this second. Then we had Team Scythe, which this freaking team, oh my god! So we had Scythe, Pint Size, Death to All, Crystal Camp, and Spade from Detroit, and then Russ. Now the other thing with this team is literally half of a Detroit A team from like multiple different years. So
it was a nice team to get drawn onto. I gotta say, I was pretty happy about that draw.
So I don't want to get into spoilers, but didn't you guys place first?
We did. We got the trophy here and everything.
Oh, that's gotta feel kind of nice.
It does. Playing behind Scythe is It's not that hard. I'll be honest with you.
Unless you're a Detroit native, and then playing Sacramento, and it gets pretty. I hear it gets pretty stuffy in his backpack. There's no air conditioning in there, so.
It's very nice though. It's well appointed.
Yeah, and believe me that there's going to be a whole rant I'm going to go on later about that. So just watch this space. Next team was Juan's team. His code name's actually Super Mario Brothers, but that's way too many syllables. So just call him Juan. It's way easier. And his team was him, ADHD from Detroit, Assassin from Syracuse. I think Zenless. I can't remember where Zenless was from. Was he Detroit or was he Syracuse?
He's Loveland.
Okay, well then Zenless and Feeder from Loveland rounded out his team. Yeah, people listening, if I get what site you're from wrong, I'm sorry. It was a long couple of days. It really was a long couple of days. Then we had Team Micro, which from Detroit had Micro and My Little Pony. From Sacramento, they had Autumn. And from Loveland, they had The Fear Turkey. And from Syracuse, they had Evil and Goodnight Jared. And we had Team Beans. So, obviously, Beans, a little bit from Syracuse. Was funny because when Beans drew here, he's like, really? I drive 8 hours to play laser tag with different people and I get drawn with a little bit. He was just kind of laughing. It was pretty funny. From Loveland, he had Sergeant Tucker and Otaku Lord, and from Sacramento, he had Odin's Fist, and from Detroit, he had Spooky. And last but not least was Team Jerbear. So from Detroit was Jerbear, Wolfman, and Panda Fufu. From Syracuse was Fox. From Loveland was Hot Tamales. And was D-Rock Detroit or was D-Rock Syracuse?
I think it's Detroit.
Okay. And again, if we're wrong, people are going to let us know. So whatever.
You said that Wolfman's on that team?
Yeah, Wolfman was on that team.
Yeah, shout out to
my
boy. Miss you, bro.
So that, I mean, what we ended up doing as far as gameplay, we did a standard round on Monday, and then we did a triple elimination on Tuesday. Now, in hindsight, what I wish we had done is still done the round on Monday, but only done a double elim on Tuesday, so we actually had some time to do socials with everybody. I think that would have been a better way to end the tournament than ending it at 1:30 in the morning with everybody just being burned out from playing competitively all day.
It kind of means that you're playing an extra half day of a tournament, right? Like an extra half a round almost.
Basically, a 6-team double elim is a maximum of 11 matches, I think, and triple brings it out to potentially actually a maximum of 17.
Wow, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, and like I said, in hindsight, it was a mistake. At the time, the theory was, hey, it's more guaranteed games, and we want people to get their money's worth. But people probably would have gotten their money's worth playing socials after a double elim, and there may have been more fun and less, tiredness happening. So
that's never a recipe for anything super great.
Yeah, it happens.
So with all that said and done, and obviously our man Russ taking out first place, MVP of his team clearly. What were some of the highlights for you, man?
For me, I really wanted to end up on either Scythes or Baden's team, just because the plan is to play with those guys in Brisbane. So just getting the draw onto Scythes' team and getting to play with him a little bit, play 3-hit with him, play scout with him, play reset with him, and kind of do all those things and see how he plays was huge for me. Trying to learn this new arena to see how he plays it, and then to realize that I'm not as fast or as good as he is. So
Oh, I hate that. That's a cold realization when that one.
It truly is.
Yeah.
It truly is. But I mean, again, I loved this arena. I really, really did. I had just a blast playing it. I think it's a joy to play. I think there's a lot of interesting ways to play it, and it was real fun to see the different ways people approached it. From the Detroit people who've been playing it for years, obviously, to a lot of us who are new and what we were trying to do there. Baden, again, taught me valuable lessons about where you can be seen and missiled. He got 3 on me in about 30 seconds. Yeah, it was painful. Baden also taught me that my Monday night social bullshit playing commander doesn't fly at a tournament against him. He farms nukes faster than me. So when he hears 5 lives coming out of a pack, that 2 chains coming, and you're walking out with a 3K commander score.
Yeah,
so.
Oh, that's rough, man.
I mean, I was fine with it, but
Oh, that's actually interesting. I didn't even think about that until just now. So you guys, me personally, like I've out of all the captains that were there, with the exception of Beans, Baden and Scythe are probably 2 of the most influential figures that are playing in the US scene right now. So it would have been pretty awesome to be on either one of those guys' teams, especially because it's obviously both of their home sites now.
It was definitely nicer to play with Baden than against him, but trying to play against Josh in his own maze is it's certainly a level of challenge that, while it's fun, I mean, you always want to play good people on their own field, so you can kind of see how they evolved and see what you can pick up from. But at the same time, there was definitely some very, very painful moments, especially. And now I'm going to go on my rant because this was some bullshit, especially
Strap
because,
in, ladies and gentlemen.
So literally for every game, including the finals, we were doing the random draw for positions. And how we were doing the random draw for positions was we had poker chips that had the letters just written in pen, and you would draw from the Cup of Destiny and Sadness. Yeah. Somehow, that goddamn motherfucker kept grabbing 3 hits during finals. Like, I kid you not. This motherfucker, I think, grabbed Commander or Heavy, I want to say, like 7 out of 8 games against us. Like that.
I call collusion. It
was the dumbest shit imaginable. It's like, are you kidding? Really? You've got a commander game. Oh, and now you've got a heavy game. You've got a commander game again. Are you what? Tell me what the hell is happening right now?
Well, and he pulled back-to-back heavy for our finals match too, which was fantastic.
Oh, that's brutal.
That was terrible. It was so terrible.
So wait, who was in the finals? Was you guys?
It was us. It was Team Bait versus Team Scythe, and when we got to that point, Scythe's team had only lost once, but we agreed before we played the match that we would just do a single match because it was late. Yeah, it was late. Everybody was tired, and let's just do one and finish it out.
Yeah.
And I drew Commander the second game against Josh's Heavy.
Oh, that is unfortunate.
It was not the most fun I've ever had in my life. I mean, it wasn't the worst I've ever done either, but no, Josh just kind of was like, nope. I was trying to do stuff, and the first game of finals was just kind of like, okay.
So, do you remember what you played, Russ?
I was ammo in the first game of finals and scout in the second, so I got to do some stuff, but not a ton.
You get to at least have a little bit of a run around.
Yeah, but again, with Josh playing heavy in his own arena, I mean, he makes it so that your resupply just doesn't have to stress.
Yeah.
The defense is rock solid. They don't get through, and if they do, it's for a small amount of time.
Mm.
And you've got that freedom to kind of play out in the midfield and get some stuff done. So it's low stress.
The first game of the final, Baden also drew heavy, so it was Josh v. Baden at
awesome.
heavy.
You can't
But
script this shit better.
But Josh did a better job of wrecking our resupply than Baden did of wrecking theirs. But we managed to survive the game. So literally going into the second game of the finals, they were only up by 600 points. So it was literally like one of those, oh, okay, well,
we're still in.
It's anybody's game still.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then
I will say in game one, Josh and Baden matched each other shot for shot too. I mean, they were dead even on their hit diff with each other.
I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less, right?
Yeah, and then game two, Josh drew heavy again with Spade as their commander, and I drew commander with Slaughtermelon as our heavy, and apparently it didn't go too well for Slaughtermelon because he died. I know that when I got done with that game, when it finally went game over, I just kind of collapsed on a ramp because, I mean, I was putting in a lot of effort, but not sure how effective I was being.
I mean,
sometimes 5 times,
case.
So
yeah. Well, that's I mean, like, in terms of a showdown, that's a pretty epic way to finish a tournament. Did you guys feel that there were any standout newer players for the tournament, or were there any, aside from kind of the obvious, were there any standouts of the tournament that played?
I'll give a shout out to Michaela there in Detroit, Baby Fufu. She and I pulled 3-hit against each other multiple times and really battled it out, and it was great fun. But she's got a good head for their arena. I'd be real curious to see how she plays outside of it. But she was great.
Well, that's the key, right? Like, we were talking to Rusty on the pod in an earlier episode, and he said something to me that was seemingly that it shocked me. You wouldn't believe what happened next. He said that he felt that home field advantage wasn't really a thing, or wasn't as important thing as people might think. Which I don't know about that. I think that having the home field makes a huge difference, especially, I guess, in a 2-day tournament. You don't have the whole week to kind of figure out the maze. So
I would say that home field advantage can make a mid-tier, mediocre player better, right? But I think it's the players who really are at that top tier, the ones who go into any site and it doesn't matter. Yeah. And that's your Josh and your Badens and your Rusties and your Taipans and so on. They're and so on.
Great wherever they play.
Yeah, exactly. I'm mediocre in Sacramento, but if I've got the right people next to me, I can do good stuff. I can play a very nice resupply game with the right people.
Yeah.
And then here in Detroit, I mean, I can go look at my stats and it's all very mediocre at every position, which is no shock, really.
I think that's a very common trend, though. I mean, I remember earlier in my playing career, feeling like I was the bee's knees, if you will. And you go to a nationals and you just get humbled by guys who are just so good. Even guys that, they just say like are just naturally good at any tournament they play or any arena they play in. So actually on that, how did you feel the Detroit maze was compared to Sacramento? Like, were they completely different, or were there some similarities?
To me, the broad strokes are very similar. I mean, it's 2 ramps. Most of the action takes place upstairs. Resupply hangs out at the top of the ramps.
I know Than's a big fan of ramps.
I think the broad strokes are very similar, but Detroit's upstairs is much larger, and I think I don't want to say it's a more interesting play space. It's a much different play space. Yeah. And I like how it flows. And then the downstairs in Detroit doesn't see a lot of play, but when it does, I mean, the base runs feel epic.
Yeah.
Like a base run is a mission. You have to plan for it and be ready and know where you're going and what you're planning to do, because those can go so wrong so fast there.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that aspect very much.
That's
I think
quite
downstairs
similar to Zach.
and other people said that to me too. And in my head, I just know where those bases are and I can get them,
Right.
In 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the hashtag humble brag.
So, similarities. Obviously, it's a bigger maze, but I liked it a lot again.
Both Sacramento and Detroit have the advantage, I want to say, of that they're not cookie cutter mazes. Both of their initial constructions were done before creative works arenas were a thing, and that's not to knock creative works arenas. I mean, they're very general public friendly. They do the job. They have a visual wow factor to them that is always very impressive. Are a little cookie cutter, whereas because both Sacramento and Detroit's mazes were originally built in the late 90s, and they were, I mean, you can tell they were built by hand with a lot of plywood and 2x4s. With some influences from photon arenas as far as like the width of the walkways and stuff like that. I feel like Sacramento and Detroit share a similar design language in their arena builds, and so I do remember stepping into Detroit's maze for the first time when I was there in 2013. And initially going, oh my God, this place is huge, and how am I ever going to figure out where stuff is? But as I kind of moved around it a little bit, it's like, oh, okay, I have an idea of what's going on here, and it took a while for it to click, and it still takes it a while for it to click.
Yeah, I guess there are certain parts of certain mazes that don't really get used at all during a tournament game or whatever, or very, very seldom get used by players.
For sure. But having said that, if Detroit is definitely up there as one of my favorite mazes to play in. It's obviously it's never going to overtake Sacramento in my heart for obvious reasons. And I definitely enjoy it more than Syracuse's arena. With Syracuse being a one-story maze, I just I like having the second level, even though Syracuse does get bonus points for having artificial surface with like half-inch pad on it. Oh my God, it feels so good to run on that stuff.
It's like running on a cloud.
No, it really is. I got done with this tournament. My feet hurt a bit because you're running on concrete and plywood. You get done with the tournament in Syracuse, and your ankles and knee joints all feel fine because you've been running on AstroTurf with half-inch pad. It's great.
Yeah. What about you, Than? Did you have any sort of highlights of the tournament, or?
I think honestly, the biggest highlights in no particular order. Everything starts getting scrambled after a while because I'm old, and trying to put stuff into context or trying to put stuff in order gets a little jumbled.
Yeah, where are my pants? I can't find my pants.
Pretty much. On a personal level, like Russ said earlier, kind of realizing that there are so many younger players now, and my reflexes, even though my brain thinks my reflexes are still like they were when I was in my early 20s, my body likes to disabuse me of that notion on a fairly regular basis. So that's just one of those kind of okay, yeah, you need to alter your play style a little bit. But it was really great to basically there really weren't any super blowout games this tournament. I mean, there were a couple of games that, the positional matchups that got drawn weren't necessarily ideal, but that's going to happen in a random draw tournament. But there really weren't any games where it was so out of whack that it was like, oh man, that game couldn't have been any fun whatsoever. So it was nice to see people step up because they didn't have a choice. Like, oh, you drew commander. Well, oh, and you drew commander against Scythe as a 3-hitter or Baden as a 3-hit. Although Baden only got like 5 3-hits the entire tournament, which is bullshit. But you get that. Josh had 14. It's bullshit, I tell you.
Yeah, I say again, collusion. It sounds like collusion.
Whatever.
But
yeah, we're just bitter.
People, no, I'm very bitter. In case you can't tell.
That's basically your middle name, right?
Pretty much. But people, drawing these positions that maybe they haven't really played a bunch, and being forced into it, and then stepping up and like, okay, well, we don't really have an option, so here we go. That was really heartening to see. There was definite improvement across the board throughout the 2 days. I mean, yeah, it's a quick tournament, but when you're playing in games that matter, you kind of have to you either take that step up and do something with it, curl up in a ball in a corner and just cry yourself to sleep. And everybody basically stepped up and tried to get better.
I think I would have gone the other way. The fetal position on the ramp. That's me.
Well, and to that point too, Than, with everybody playing with all kinds of new people and so much opportunity for Rage, I mean, aside from a couple small incidents, for the most part, the teams were all really supportive of each other. You saw people talking and trying to get better and trading tips, and I really felt like working within their teams to try and address what looked like imbalances in a position draw, and really trying to help each other. It seemed overall like a really positive experience to me. Again, a couple little blips, but for the most part, it felt pretty good.
That's awesome. That's what you want out of a tournament, right?
Well, and what this tournament was intended to be. I mean, if you were going into this tournament, with the mindset of, I'm taking this 100%, seriously, and I'm going to be all, rawr at people, if they're not doing something exactly perfect, wasn't the right tournament for you. But I really do think that, but by and large, I mean, yeah, a couple of minor blips that did get ironed out, so that was cool. Those minor blips, like, everybody was really supportive of each other and trying to help everybody improve.
Now, because I'm somewhat of a gossip monger, when you say minor blip, what do you mean?
There was a very specific miscommunication issue that happened in game that kind of boiled over a little bit. We were able to work out, oh no, this was just this was a miscommunication issue, and got the parties together and able to explain, this is this is what was said, and we realized this is how it was interpreted, but this is what it was actually meant as. And there was this mutual light bulb moments of, oh, that makes sense, and then everybody just got on with the day and moved on. So
that's pretty amazing that in a Laserforce scene, a conversation was had and people were able to talk out their issues and come to a resolution, which doesn't always happen. Sometimes that shit just festers.
No, it was a very specific issue. It was just a very specific thing, which, if you didn't have the context, which have the initial context, oh yeah, no, it was definitely ripe for a miscommunication.
At the end of the day, Fan dispensed some hugs, and everybody felt better. You think I'm kidding? He hugged people. I saw it.
Not a thing that happened. You can't prove it. There are no pictures.
Actually, now that I think about it, I've been the recipient of a few fan hugs, and they really are a magical thing. He gave me a fan hug at Sacramento last year after I'd lost my shit after something had happened. That happens.
Talking about didn't happen.
A fan hug makes everything better, kids. Make sure you get one at Nationals this year if you can. Accost him and hug the shit out of him.
Yeah, no, really don't do that.
He'll love it. He'll absolutely love it. He's a very open, warm guy.
Steve-O, I'm going to stab you when I see you in Brisbane.
See? Perfect example of how warm and friendly he is. Cool. Well, actually, that's a good jumping off point. Rush, you're coming to Brisbane. You're coming to Nationals.
Hell yeah!
Is this your first overseas? This is your first overseas tournament, obviously.
Yes.
Okay, so how long have you played for? How long have you been in the scene for?
I mean, I first started playing Space Marines, 1997, 98, and then took a decade-long break between about 2000 and 2010.
Is that when Sacramento converted and then converted back?
Well, it's more like I went to college and got busy with other stuff.
Ew. Ew, being an adult.
I know. No, but ended up back in Sacramento, and then a buddy was like, "Hey, Laserforce is back open, and they're actually playing like Space Marines again."
Yeah.
I was like, "Really?"
Was that fan?
Popped on. It wasn't that. It was somebody else who doesn't play anymore. But anyway.
What a bogan.
But popped back. I know. Those bogans, man. No, but popped back on over, and I've been playing pretty reliably ever since. Played my first tournament in 2015, which was the Loveland Nationals, and I've been trying to hit up as many as I can since then because they're just so darn fun.
Pretty good. So I think you're part of a larger contingent that's obviously heading down, and you've got your PIC from last year, Mr. Tom Selleck, even. That's got to be pretty cool cruising with a crew.
It is. We've got I think 8 people from Sacramento are either confirmed to be coming or shortly to buying tickets, which is a pretty big group.
Yeah, that's massive. I noticed that there is one name missing from that list. Fireball DK, where's your ticket, man? You'll buy that plane ticket. Get your ass down to the side of the world.
DK retired. Didn't you hear?
Did he?
He's all done now.
What a piece of shit. I am very upset on the news of that. That makes me sad. Oh, damn it. No more Firewall DK. Who's going to ride the Green Lantern with that? Rush, you're going to have to ride the Green Lantern with us.
That sounds like a plan.
What are you looking forward to most about coming down?
There's a lot of Australian players I've never met, right? A lot of people I know only by reputation. So I'm excited to meet a lot of these people. I'm excited to finally play at the mothership and see this arena that I've heard so much about. Try not to trip on the stairs,
Who puts stairs in a maze? It's the worst.
It makes no sense. I don't know what to tell you. I'm looking forward to playing a night in Auckland. Come see you guys, play your members night there for a couple hours.
That's gonna be fun.
But and I think the team we're gonna put together, whatever it finally looks like, is gonna be a really fun team to play on. I think we're gonna have a good group of dudes.
Are you gonna keep with the resup strength? Is the resup gonna be sort of as we would kind of expect it to be?
Yeah, it's going to be me and Tom. Look, again, mediocre player here, guys. The fact that I've got Tom next to me and we think the same way when we're doing resupply. So
scary.
There's a lot of that level of communication we just don't have to have because we're already thinking it. We know who we're going to shoot first. We know which ways to be looking. I don't have that kind of partnership if I go play scout or 3-hit.
Yeah.
So I don't have near that same level of success. So me on a Nats team is pretty limited to this one specific role where I've got a partner and I've figured out how to do pretty well at it, I think.
Yeah. That's so key to have good synergy with the guy next to you. Or girl,
No, it's nice. Tom and I, we make it easy for each other.
Yeah. I mean, and rarely everyone's the same height when you crouch down, so. Yeah, that's going to be super fun. I can't wait to see you guys, and I especially can't wait to have you, or host you, at our side. I know some of the other SAC people are coming over after the tournament. You're coming beforehand. You're going to be here before the tournament.
Right. Wife and I are doing a little vacation time, and then I'll send her home.
I mean, oh, really? She's not coming to Brisbane with you?
She's not, no.
Lucky. There's been a couple of occasions I've asked my wife to come with, and she's just like, nah, man. There's no fucking way. Like, yeah, that's fair enough. That's awesome. Okay, so, yeah, that trip. Oh, I can't wait. It's so close. Nationals is so close. It's so close. Get on board, man.
It really is.
High train.
It is. It's definitely creeping closer, and those of you out there that don't have your tickets for Brisbane yet, what's wrong with you? Come on, get on that. Chop.
Yeah.
There's planning things that are very hard to do when people haven't bought their tickets. So,
get on
buy
board
your
the
damn
hype plane.
tickets. That'd be great.
You know what? Actually, to bring it almost full circle back to Detroit, watching, well, even any time that there's a Space Marines tournament on, watching the Twitch stream, just always gives me mad FOMO. I always regret not coming to any Space Marines tournament. Obviously, it's a little difficult to do a 2-day Detroit trip from New Zealand, but oh man, you watch the screen and you just
wouldn't be the easiest thing, no.
No, you can't just drive there. Although if you did, you'd probably get carjacked on the way. But yeah, it's just watching the tournament unfold. Always regret not coming. So don't be like Steve. Make sure you buy a ticket to Nationals and come and hang out with us. Was there anything else about the tournament that you guys felt or feel needs addressing? Or I'm talking specifically Detroit here, by the way.
Yeah, no. Honestly, I think really just need to reiterate the thanks to Baden for organizing, and the thanks to Kevin at Revolution for letting us, take over his facility for 2 days, and really a big thank you to all the Detroit players who played and who were very generous with their time and their arena knowledge for all the out of town players. So big shout outs to Scythe and Micro and Pint Size and Jesse and Jerbear and Juan and everybody else whose name I'm not gonna
Wolfman.
Yep, and Wolfman and everybody else for really having the spirit of the tournament and making sure that the out of town players weren't just kind of stumbling and fumbling around their maze, but actually showing them where the good places to be are, how to play certain areas and all that good stuff. So really cannot thank all the Detroit players enough for being that generous with their time and arena knowledge.
I took the words right out of my mouth on that. Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
Well, that's probably a good jumping off point. Russ, thanks for obviously coming on and having you say about how the tournament went. I know.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's great fun.
I know a lot of us are looking forward to seeing / meeting you for the first time in July. So I can't wait to see you, man. Like I think once you meet people for the first time at a Nationals, then there's a connection there. So the subsequent Nationals that happen, you feel like you just back in the fold with a lot of guys. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in July, man. It's going to be such a fun trip.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that's about it for this week. I've been Guy Next Door.
And I've been Fan.
Always remember to backtrack, kids. See you next week.